And that was made clear with the minimum wage addition to the stimulus bill. The Senate parliamentarian said that this can't be included under budget reconciliation. But there's nothing preventing the vice president from overruling the Senate parliamentarian. Excuse me, the Senate parliamentarian is not elected. They're like an advisory appointment, and the vice president can just go, no, I don't agree. I think the $15 minimum wage is a budgetary matter, gavel, and then it's solved. But Kamala Harris, who is really taking orders from the White House, from Biden, they have no interest in doing that. And so that really is, just to me, it's insane. It's idiotic. Like, why wouldn't you push for this? How is this not going to be popular? Raising the minimum wage, which hasn't been raised since 2007. It's $7.25 an hour. I live in California, so everyone will go, anybody not from California might go, oh, well, buddy, why don't you move out of California? Cal exit and all that crap. But I can't imagine people living in, other states where housing isn't expensive. I can't imagine that they enjoy working for $7.25 an hour, and they wouldn't be delighted to get $15 an hour, more than double the minimum wage. I can't imagine a scenario where someone wouldn't look at that and go, I guess the Democrats, even if they have ideas of the Democrats, the Democratic Party would go, I guess they're not so bad. But so now that it's the White House has signaled we're not going to do anything about that, about keeping it in the stimulus bill. It's now fallen outside the stimulus bill. Like, it's just going to be a normal type of bill, which is going to need 60 votes to pass. So how is it going to pass without filibuster reform? Which, again, the conservative Democrats and the president are like, we don't really want to mess with that. More about that later, of course. But so Bernie is saying, and Bernie Sanders has been the champion of the $15 minimum wage. It kind of shows, that Biden said, well, we'll get him. He was campaigning on a $15 minimum wage. That was a Bernie Sanders policy proposal. So Biden adopted Bernie's policy proposal as soon as he's in office. He's backing off of it. I don't know. We trying. It's just really too hard. But Bernie's still in the fight for 15. And this is what he was saying earlier.
And here is the simple truth. And that is that in the richest country in the history of the world, we can no longer tolerate millions of our workers being unable to feed their families because they are working for starvation wages. And that is not what I say, although I do say it. It's what the President of the United States says, who very, very strongly supports raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and I thank him for his support. When we look at the economy, people look at the stock market, they look at a whole lot of indices out there. But at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what is going on in the lives of ordinary people? And it is not acceptable to me that half of our people live in paycheck to paycheck, and millions of people are trying to get by on $9, $10, $11 an hour.
Yeah, well, I agree with Bernie there. It's insane. But so look here, a proposal from Bernie Sanders to raise the
homeowners. This incredible tip is just for you.
I did not want to hear that. Sorry, I was an ad. The proposal from Bernie Sanders to raise the federal minimum wage is currently failed in the Senate after he sought to include it in that measure in the COVID relief. Let's see. Yep. After Senate rules advising parliamentarians shot it down. Yeah, we know all this. So it was going to increase by $2.25 each year through 2025. This is commonly how minimum wages increase. Now, on Friday, all Senate Republicans and 7 Democrats and 1 independent senator rejected the amendment. So what Bernie did was he added the amendment to the COVID stimulus bill again, just basically said, well, we'll just override the parliamentarian ourselves as a standalone amendment. And it was voted down by every single Republican and 7 Democrats and 1 independent who caucuses with the Democrats. Angus something or other is his name. Let's see. I want to get their names. We need to know their names. Here they are. Democratic senators who oppose the amendment include Joe Manchin, of course, John Tester, Jean Shaheen, Maggie Hassan, Kirsten Sinema, that's Arizona, Tom Carper, and Chris Coons, along with Angus King. That's, you don't forget a name like Angus, but Angus King, you can't forget that. An independent who caucused with Democrats. So, excuse me, guys. Allergies. In a statement, Senator Sinema of Arizona said senators in both parties have shown support for raising the federal minimum wage, and the Senate should hold an open debate and amendment process on raising the minimum wage, separate from the COVID-focused reconciliation bill. So they, Sinema, who has really just become a very strange libertarian type, almost right-wing Democrat, wants this to go to a regular process as a standalone bill. She knows they're not going to get 10 Republicans to vote for that. They're not going to get 60 votes for that. Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat, is talking. He wants an $11 minimum wage raise. Like, it's ridiculous. When we look at the increase over the years of the cost of living, the cost of housing, all the cost of healthcare, everything has risen and risen and risen, and the minimum wage has lagged far behind that. If the minimum wage was to match what the buying power of the minimum wage in, say, the 60s or even the 70s, it would be above $20. It would be like $24. So the $15 minimum wage is already the compromise. A lot of people have said that. A lot of progressives have said that. Here's Cori Bush, a member of the squad, freshman member of the House, really, up and coming, fantastic representative. And she says a vote against the $15 minimum wage is a vote to keep people in poverty. This was not a moderate vote. This was not a conservative vote. That no vote in the Senate was an oppressive vote. So, I mean, that's what Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema and all these Republicans, that's what they have in common, is they want to keep the American workforce disciplined, under the thumb of the wealth class. And they should know a thing or two about it. Check this out. This is Ken Klippenstein, guys. If you don't know Ken Klippenstein, he's an investigative journalist. He does for The Intercept. He writes in The Nation. You got to follow Ken Klippenstein. Read his stuff. But look at this. Net worth of the 8 Democrats who just voted down $15 minimum wage. Chris Coons, $10.13 million. Angus King, $9.49 million. Joe Manchin, $7.62 million. Tom Carper, $5 million. Jean Shaheen, $3 million. John Tester, $3 million. Maggie. These are all millionaires. Kristen Sinema, I guess we don't have those numbers yet. But what a ridiculous, these millionaires want to talk about how this is not doable right now for the, for us to have all of, $50 minimum wage. That's just too much money. Keep in mind, like, members of Congress, senators make more, like almost $200,000. They make $175,000 a year. And this is, brace yourself, because this is pretty disgusting. So Kristen Sinema from Arizona, not only did she brought a cake to the Senate for some strange reason. Like, this was such a fun thing to, to chip away at the aid that Americans, in this massive crisis are going to get. But here was how she voted down the $15 minimum wage amendment. And this really is something. Look at this. She comes up and does this little curtsy with her thumbs down. And I mean, so Marie Antoinette is trending on Twitter right now for what she did here. And also the fact that she brought cake to the Senate to vote down a minimum wage increase. And funny enough, this, she's probably, most of these senators are millionaires. I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't one herself. But this Bess Kalb, I don't know what, if she's a reporter or what. But she has here, I am insane, and zoomed in on another picture of Kristen Sinema carrying, picture of her carrying, and in the spirit of Edward R. Murrow level journalism, I'm humbled to announce in a parody of white feminism, Kristen Sinema voted against a $15 living wage while carrying a giant Lululemon bag. So, or Lululemon or whatever you call it. I mean, that's an expensive ass bag. This is, it's not cheap to buy one of these. This is rich people stuff right here. So that's what's going on in the United States Senate. Think of it, guys. 100 people represent all 50 states. Some of these states have populations. I live in California. Some of the states that have 2 Republican senators have a population comparable to 1 county in California. So Republicans have orders of magnitude more representation in the Senate than people who vote Democratic. And even then, the Democrats who make their way into the Senate are millionaire weirdos who, with a Lululemon bag slung around their arm, are going to vote down a $15 minimum wage like this. Hey, girl boss moment. Here we go. Ha ha. Right. And so what is she trying? I guess she's trying to reference John McCain when he voted down the ACA removal that the Republicans wanted to do. But at the end of the day, McCain was protecting health care for millions of people. She is voting down the wages of millions of people, keeping them falsely deflated. If there was economic equality, we wouldn't be arguing over a $15 minimum wage. We'd be arguing for much more than that. But here she is. So one more time. Right, air horn sound effect. That's just ridiculous. So this is illustrative to me of the long project and that we need to do to pull the Democratic Party to the left. People have, I myself included, have taken good signs from the Joe Biden administration and certain decisions they made, certain appointments, certain policies, and said, hey, look at this. They're actually listening to the left. And to a certain degree, the Overton window has been shifted quite a bit, where things, a $1.9 trillion bill that included direct payments to most Americans, that would unfeasible. You wouldn't even have thought any Democrat would have voted for that in 2017. Maybe in 2019 after you get the first round of the squad in there. But, at this point, we can see that there's much more work to do. There are Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, all these other senators, Coons, King, Carper, Shaheen, Tester, Hassan. They all should face primaries, and they need to have the fear of the voters zapped into them is basically how I see it. It's ridiculous, and the thing is, who knows how many people are actually paying attention. I think we saw record turnout last year in the election for a few reasons. Obviously, mail voting made it easier, but I think the pandemic made because so many people were locked down staying at home, people who maybe hardly pay attention to politics at all were all of a sudden watching the news and reading about what was going on and seeing the back and forth with politicians, with the Congress. And also Trump, the crisis of Trump, because he was a rolling crisis, his whole presidency, made a lot more people aware of what was going on, of how things worked. There's actually analytics from Google and Merriam-Webster that basic civics, civics terms were trending every day because people were like, can he do that? And looking stuff up. So hopefully we now have a much more engaged electorate that is going to take primary seriously, and especially a more engaged younger generation. Millennials, my generation, and Gen Z are much more progressive, much more to the left. We got people my age and younger just being like, yeah, I'm a socialist, I'm a Leninist, I'm a Marxist, I'm all these things, right? And the Republican Party freaks out endlessly about it. But the more they freak out and call someone like Joe Biden a communist, it only serves to weaken that insult the longer it goes on. So But again, this should be easy for the Democrats. If we want the Democratic Party to be where it needs to be, supporting labor, supporting working people with a higher minimum wage, this should be it. This should be easy. I really don't understand the trepidation here. What do you guys think? How about you let me know in the comments?